I know you already know your boundaries. I know you could probably write them down in every category: financial boundaries, spiritual boundaries, sexual boundaries, emotional boundaries. You know your boundaries like the back of your hand as it relates to family, friends, where you work, right? Your career, and even in dating. But I want you to question, why do your boundaries keep getting crossed? And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk, this video is specifically for the women who know their worth, but your boundaries keep getting crossed. Now, this may not be you, but if this is a woman that you know, please share this video with her. Listen, we treat boundaries really like an information problem, especially for women. Have you ever been talking to your therapist, talking to your girlfriends, or talking to a family member, and you are giving them a story about something that has happened, and they're like, well, you need boundaries, you should have boundaries. And something that I've learned is that many women have the boundary, they just don't follow through with the boundary. And that, I as a woman, I understand why. I always say that we were taught to be sugar and spice and everything nice. We were taught to serve others. We were taught to be overgiving and give the benefit of the doubt, and to have more essentially care and concern for other people. But what has that cost you? I remember some years ago, I shared an idea with my supervisor. And I remember, if you've been here for a while, you've heard this story. I remember receiving an email, and she was telling the whole division about this idea she had and the direction she wanted to go with the division within the company. Now, this is the thing. The idea that she had wasn't her idea. It was a specific idea that I presented to her in order to launch within my department. And I was 38 high. I was high. I worked at New Horizons Behavioral Health at this time in Columbus, Georgia. And I remember going to tell Miss Kathy, if you know Miss Kathy at New Horizons, you know who I'm talking about. I was like, Miss Kathy, she stole my idea. Miss Kathy, she stole my idea. Now, back then I was a hothead. I was like, she stole my idea, Miss Kathy. Now, Miss Kathy knew that was my idea because I went to Miss Kathy and I talked to her about it before I even went to my supervisor. And she was like, Cynthia, let it go. You're bright. You're brilliant. She's not. But this is the thing. And this is where many of us kind of, we instead of like holding the line, right? We make a compromise right then. I never had the conversation with the supervisor about her stealing my idea. I never did. Now, some of you may be like, Cynthia, you was going to confront your supervisor and was? Because how you going to present this idea like it was yours and it wasn't? You thief, you ain't that smart. You ain't that smart. And that, you know what, has probably happened to many of you. You've been in a board meeting or you've been with contractors, you were presenting and someone stole your idea and presented it as theirs and you said nothing. But that's on the professional side. How is it as it relates to when you're dating and you share with him, like on Wednesdays, I always love to go, with my girlfriends, and we go and we sing karaoke, and he's intentional about trying or attempting to make dates on Wednesdays. So now you are kind of stuck between, do I go with my girlfriends as it relates to karaoke, or do I go on a date with him because I'm really interested in knowing him? He has violated a boundary, but what we do, we give the benefit of the doubt and we usually go on the date, even though we shouldn't. Let's talk about family. Now, let's say you're going to the family event. It's July. You're going to the cookout. You get there. You looking good. You know you've been working out, losing the weight. You know the outfit is fitting you the way that it is fitting you, but you got that one aunt. She ain't even really kin. She like in the family because of marriage, and then they divorced, but she just keep coming around. But you got that one aunt. Oh, you done gained some weight. It looked like you done gained some weight. So now she is publicly criticizing you in front of everybody. Before you say something, your mama grabs your arm and say, girl, you know how she is. Don't even say anything. But this is the issue. The issue is essentially you are teaching people that you are not going to be responsive to when they violate your boundaries. You're teaching the aunt that she can keep commenting about your weight, even though you may have PMOS or you've postpartum, or you've just been working really hard in the gym, putting those reps in to lose the weight. You're teaching that man that even though you may really like him, that he can essentially not respect the time that you've set aside for your friends. You're also teaching him that you will value a romantic relationship, even though the relationship is new, over your friendships. And I unfortunately taught my supervisor that she could keep stealing my ideas. Now, she couldn't keep stealing my ideas because after that, I ain't give her no more, okay? Because once she presented that and sent that email out to everybody like that was her idea, she didn't have to hear. I didn't say not nothing to her again about an idea, okay? All right, and okay. Listen, but when a boundary is violated, you feel it in your body. You feel it, but many of us have been taught to override it. Many of us have been taught through some type of life situation that it is better to override it. And you may say, you know what, Smithia, I find myself doing that. I find myself giving people the benefit of the doubt. I find myself saying maybe they didn't mean it. I find myself just being avoidant, or I get angry and I withdraw. But there is something important with doing that, because every time that you do not enforce your boundaries, you are teaching your body that it can't trust you. And it's so important that you are able to trust yourself. My sweet girlfriend Tia, I remember it was last year. It was in February of last year. She said, I trust me. If something feels off, if there's something I don't like, I trust me. Many of us have overridden our intuition, our nervous system for so long that we no longer trust ourselves. And then what happens? You don't even realize that you begin to chip away at yourself slowly, slowly, slowly. There are some women who are like, Smithia, I don't even understand how it got in this relationship, how it got so far. And it's because somewhere in your history, you made the decision to give someone a benefit of the doubt. You made the decision that the relationship and what the relationship gave you, whether that was attention, safety, belonging, validation, whatever it is, you decided that that was more important than yourself. And this is why boundaries are so important, because if you know your worth, but you are not, or essentially you don't have any consequences for when someone validates your boundaries, you are teaching them and yourself that you are not important, that your needs are not important, that your desires are not important. It's something that I always say is that we do not negotiate our care. When you are not enforcing your boundaries, when you don't speak up for yourself, when you don't say, hey, that was my idea, but you presented it to everyone, when you don't tell that aunt that she needs not to say anything about your body, when you don't tell that man that even though you may care for him, like, hey, this right here, this Wednesday is girls' night, and this is where I'm hanging out with my girls, and it's girls only, you're teaching people that they can continue to take advantage of you. And I know that's not what you want. That's why you're watching this video, because you know, like, I'm that girl. I've worked hard to get to where I'm at. You may have a bachelor's degree, or you're working to get your bachelor's degree. You are the first woman in your family that's doing your healing work, but you have found yourself in relationships, whether that's with romantic partners or at work or even in friendships, that are not serving you, relationships in which there is no reciprocity. And now you're trying to figure out, how can I have peace in my relationships? How can I be taken essentially seriously in these relationships? And I have a solution for that. On July the 18th, I am hosting the Girls Need Boundaries course at 1 p.m. Eastern. I would love to have you there. I'm going to teach you a framework, and I'm going to help you as relates to what I see many women struggling with. They struggle with the uncomfortableness of having to enforce the boundary. Like I mentioned before, you know what your boundaries are. You probably can write them on a piece of paper. You know them like the back of your hand. The issue is you struggle with the uncomfortableness of enforcing the boundary, because somewhere you were taught that giving was more important than you being respected. But I want to teach you that self-respect is so much more important than you over giving, especially to people who are not giving and pouring into you in return. All right. This is Heal the New Sexy. My name is Cynthia. Until we talk again.